Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, and today we're going to discuss how Jerome Powell capitulated, how he crushed his credibility, according to Rabobank, and I would say myself, and how he reignited inflation. Okay, start over. Good morning, everyone. I'm Vince Lancy, and in Friday's Market Rundown, we will be discussing how Jerome Powell what? Fuck. Good morning, everyone. It's Friday. Gold is on all-time highs. Silver is right below the top of a lid that I believe will be crushed today. And we're going to discuss two things. We're going to discuss Jerome Powell's capitulation and how it crushes his credibility, reignites inflation, and puts a lot of doubt into Fed as well as fiscal policy going forward. That will be very interesting as we are quoting a Rabobank report by Michael Every and Philip Mary. I'm not sure how to say his name. That just destroys his credibility, in my opinion. And we will also be looking at gold and silver charts, since gold is on new all-time highs and silver is right below a level that I think will not hold, possibly by the end of this conversation. But first, let's go through the markets themselves. The dollar is 100.83, up 19. The dollar is up. 10-year yields are up 2 basis points at 373. The S&P 500 is 5701, down 10. The VIX is 1635, unchanged. Gold is 2613. Hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, foreverly, all-time high, up 27 and change. Silver is 31.29, up 51, a hair's breadth below a ledge that I think will not, a lid, not a ledge, that I think will not hold once it's touched. GLD and TLT, that's something that I've traded in the past that I'm keeping an eye on again. I think it might be the trade for the next year or so. An aggressive trade, to be fair. Copper is 432, unchanged bid. Gold, silver is down half a point. We're going to be looking at charts there. WTI is down 28. Natural gas is up a penny. Bitcoin, 63 and change, could catch fire if gold keeps doing this. People are going to wake up to this whole problem, and the younger generation won't buy gold. They will buy Bitcoin. Ethereum up 77, 25.41. Platinum and palladium, a little bit of an unwind compared to yesterday. You can see a chart there while I'm doing that. Grains are mixed, nothing special. You can see it right there. All right, let's pull that back up. Front page, Powell ignites silver. That's yesterday's conversation. Dear Zoltan, I mentioned that yesterday. And this is the conversation we're going to be going over today. It's very interesting because the comments coming out of the person who said them, this is a neo-Keynesian economist. By no means is he converting to Goldbug or Austrian, but he's going right after Powell for multiple contradictory rationales behind the rate cut. What he said and what he did not make sense. Let's put it that way. All right, let's get right to that. Powell killed his credibility this week. Yesterday in Powell's 50 basis cut is contradictory. That's the post I just showed you. We summarized Michael Every's post-Fed decision comments as follows. Michael Every and his partner in crime today, Philip Mary, wrote a polemic worthy of Christopher Hitchens' praise post the Fed cut. Their target, Jerome Powell. No lie, these are powerful, no BS observations on Powell's rate cut decision, alternating between bottom line analysis and sharp sarcasm. I have to scroll here a little bit. This is a summary. It's very well written and it's fun to read, but we just want to pull out a quote or two and the summary so you can get the gist of it. This is the too long didn't read part. On Fed credibility, the Fed's decision to cut rates by 50 basis points is contradictory against its assertion of economic strength. Quote, really, a 50 basis point cut as a message that the economy is strong? So if they cut by 75 basis points, the economy is booming. It's almost like 1984. War is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength, hence the Orwellian tone. On the market behavior poster cut, the market rally was driven more by expectations of Fed support than underlying economic fundamentals. That's true. The market rallied on not economics, on liquidity. The quote, if cutting 50 basis points and saying all is well is problematic for Fed credibility, so are its happy projections for markets that have already priced a lot of bad is good news in. A little translation for context there. He's saying the market has been running ahead of itself on bad news is good news for over a year now. And how can it continue higher on news of rate cuts if the economy is not really doing any better? Anyway, next quote. This is, pretty damning. On a political agenda. Now, he doesn't outright accuse him because he's an adult, he's professional. He says the Fed seems to be prioritizing short-term political stability over long-term economic strategy, meaning we don't want Trump in the White House. We think it's more stable for the country if Kamala wins. Essentially towing the line for economic reasons, the Democrats' agenda. Quote, Powell had incentive to deliver a big pre-election cut because Trump won't reappoint him as Fed chair and may remove him prematurely. His only chance of another term is to please Harris. Wow. Okay. Not only the pretense, if this is really crazy, the pretense as a dry professional wearing your suit economist is, well, although I'm not really politically driven, I do believe that Kamala Harris will create more stability and less volatility, and we hate volatility. Therefore, I would be voting for Harris. But this, what Robbo says, is personal. Powell had incentive, not saying that he acted on it, but implying that he could be, to deliver a big pre-election cut because Trump will not reappoint him as Fed chair. He said as much, and may remove him prematurely. His only chance of another term is to please Harris. And, well, I'm not going to say the end. On geopolitics, the cut seems to have ignored geopolitical risks relating to the Middle East. The Fed isn't considering the Middle East at all, period. All right. Oil and other problems. Okay, so Zero Hedge does a great extended comment on the work titled Rabobank Goes Apeshit on Powell's Orwellian Rate Cut. We would encourage you to look at that. If you're not a premium subscriber, if you are a premium subscriber, then we would expect you to go to the full Rabo analysis at the bottom. And it's quite a screed. All right, moving on to the news. Gold at new all-time highs, and we'll do silver in a second. All right, gold hourly chart. Nothing to say here. That line there, that was my last hope for a dip, right? Crazy. This chart is my daily chart with various levels that I thought that there would be buying if we got there. All right, and that yellow line is the Michael Oliver line. We shall call it that. This chart here, a clean silver chart. I just wanted to see it without my own opinion attached to it. Silver chart, 1 hourly, that line there, that is the level that I think we have to get above. We probably are close to it right now. We're closer to it right now. All right, that, and I'll show you that line as we zoom out a little bit. Daily chart, all right. Looks like we're on gold, silver. All right, so gold, silver. This is the 1 week gold, silver channel. This channel was broken decidedly and then worked its way back up. And now it's breaking it again in a slower, more orderly fashion. If you sold this, or let's say you bought silver because it cracked here and you're disappointed here, don't be disappointed anymore. Here's what I mean. These lines are guides, okay? All right? We got back above it, but we churned in here. See how this churns back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Well, it used to churn back and forth, back and forth, back and forth higher. So it's churned and possibly giving up the ghost again. Okay, so you want to change your channel, you want to move your lines, that's fine. I'm just saying these are rules that I use to trade going back for almost a decade. The last time I priced it was 1767 and 1708 for 1767 was silver and 1708 was gold. So this is valid for me. And there it is on the monthly. On the monthly, it seems more obvious. There's less noise. There's the old trend. This is the one where I lost money. And here's the new trend being cracked, right? If you look at it on a monthly, it's barely settling. It barely got into the line, okay? Why am I saying all that? Because it's silver's turn to run, I believe. And I believe it's silver's turn to run because who cares about central banks right now? Okay, who cares about everything else right now? Powell cut 50 basis points. That's bullish for silver. That's bullish for oil. That's bullish for copper. And here we are. That's a weekly chart you're looking at there. That's yesterday I mentioned a trend line. I mean, I mentioned it kind of like a bull flag. I said, this bull flag's broken out. I drew the line down here. I said, this bull flag's broken out. There's no reason we shouldn't get above here. I believe I said. I might have used the daily chart to show that. And so here we are, right? Draw your line here, draw your line there. I don't care. I just don't think we're going to hold this line. Maybe I have a better chart of this. There it is. That's the chart I want to show. So this is the weekly chart, and there's the line that I think we should have no problem getting above. If not today, then early next week. This is the lid, okay? And I'll give you a measured move. When a market gets going like silver, like gold, what you do is you give yourself an eyeball way to look at it. You take the dip, you take the horseshoe, you take the U, you could even take the V, although I don't do it with Vs. When you get this, you say the measured move says that if it took them this far to get out, then they'll drive it this far up. So from 31.49 to 20, call it 27.50. So 31.50 to 27.50, that's $4. There are $4 of upside from here if we get above 31.50, and probably just to be safe, 32 and change. So 32.50 gets you 36.50. That's the call. I don't trade that way, but bricks, election, sell season is a dud, okay? And uncertainty. The election's not going to bring certainty, I don't think, at least not initially. Final word. 3 years ago, when all this inflation stuff started, we did a very deep analysis of Arthur Burns. And back then, we noted in his own words what he said happened to his own tenure and what happened during it and the battles that he had to fight. We think that Powell is fighting the same battles. We're going to reframe that post and re-release it for premium. It's quite astonishing the things that Burns admits and describes. Things like political pressure, things like socioeconomic pressure from the left. He doesn't call it the left, but he says Congress wants to spend money on, the welfare state. The zeitgeist, the fact that you had a generation of people that were not interested in working. They were harder to get off of welfare, right? This is all pre-Reagan. This is what happened. And it's amazing that he talks about it after he left office. So by the way, we have that whole interview. We have that whole conversation that he has, which, by the way, inspired Volcker to raise rates and just crush inflation. Anyway, at the bottom, we have the Rabo reports, as mentioned, and we would suggest you go to the Zero Hedge story linked in here as well, because, well, they have the best of it. Gold is, let's go back to the silver chart before we wrap it up here. So there's a silver hourly. We're trading 35. We're creeping up. See this here? Who is this? Who it is, I don't know. But I'll tell you what they're doing. They're carefully buying. They don't want to spook the market, because if it gets above here, the market could be spooked. If I knew there was buying above this line, my line, if I knew there was buying above here, and I wanted to buy it before it got up there, or I wanted to buy it hoping we get up there after I bought it, I would do this. So I think there's buy stops above here, shorts covering, longs getting in, whatever. I think there's buy stops above here. And do not be surprised if we hit this line today, the market to run up. Where it closes is not necessarily above that. Okay, but expect a buy stop order to be above there. All right. Enough from me. Have a great day. I'm Vince.